Bienvenidos, robot fans of the planet's hottest entertainment with an edge. Jaime En Fuego here, and I welcome you to my namesake program, Enfuegotainment, once more. And this is going to briefly divert from the regular reviews that I have been doing here as we approach Christmas, because it was a week ago today that the FX series that I actually got to catch on Hulu, entitled A Teacher, finally made its season finale debut and presume its series finale, but honestly, I don't know, and I'm going to get into that here in this rapido review. So I had taken a look at the first 3 episodes of this series initially, and I was very disappointed that they dropped, you know, a little surplus of them and at least gave us enough of a taste of the show, and then you had to wait weekly as the rest of it, you know, kind of panned out and stuff. So A Teacher, and this is developed by Hannah Fidel, I believe is the pronunciation of her last name, who was actually the writer and director of the 2013 feature film. I believe it was also her debut that this is based on. And so I'm just going to be giving a few thoughts here about the original film versus the extensive expansion, really, and character alteration that we get in this series versus in the original film. So I almost cheated and went and watched the 2013 film that was like kind of a festival darling and had some financing behind it. I mean, they did the like sound mixing and stuff at Skywalker Sound. So I mean, yeah, this was a well-connected indie, and it got lots of praise on the festival circuit, and that's why we ended up seeing this kind of retooled version on FX that had Kate Mara, I believe, is the name of the actress, and she was in Fantastic Four. She's done lots of other cool stuff. Terrific actress. And I forget the name of the kid who plays Eric, but yeah, he was in Love, Simon, I believe. And so both of them very talented, and dare I say kind of a step up from the actor and actress that we have in this teacher and student relationship that basically makes up the crux of this very controversial sense of storytelling. And so I always remember about it was like 10, 15, no, it was more like 12, 15 years ago, something like that. Anyway, long story short, it might have even been a little bit longer, but there was that stream in the late 2000s, so we're talking before going into the aughts, where there was all of those different accusations and in turn, you know, charges and convictions of these female teachers that were having relationships with younger male students. And so there was like a whole stream of them, and there was a lot of criticism from many people about the double standard of the sort of just, I mean, yeah, the judgments and the actual sentences and stuff that were coming to these women in comparison with if it was a male teacher with an underage female, and double standards and all that different stuff. So that is not what I'm here to debate. I'm here to just talk about the sad aspects of both this FX series, and this is going to be spoilers, FYI, everybody. So if you want just a little non-spoilery taste of the show, just to see if maybe it would be your thing, even if I pretty much spelled out the premise pretty in-depthly here. Yeah, if this is your thing and you don't want to be spoiled, definitely check out my impression of the first 3 episodes of the FX show. But so first and foremost, it is in the feature film from 2013. This is a, dare I say, I mean, they're both toxic relationships, but it feels like a much more one-sided affair in the 2013 film. And I will also contend that I don't think either the character of Eric, because the student, the male student, the underage kid, his name is Eric in both the film and the TV series. In the TV series, her name is Claire, and I believe it's Diana. So the teacher has a different name, whatever. This is where I kind of question if this necessarily has to end with one season. Now, it is kind of left open-ended, and we'll get to that once I, you know, kind of delve into the TV series a little bit further. But I actually think that this could almost function as another FX show, American Horror Story, where you explore a different relationship. I mean, maybe same sex, maybe, you know, like gender reversal, whatever. You could basically explore a different teacher-student relationship. I mean, maybe maybe you jump to college and, you know, they're both on an equal plane of not underage and the whole sexual predator angle, but just the whole conflict of interest of getting involved with a student, which is very commonplace in college with professors and, TAs and things of that nature. So that's what I would be curious if, since the show was well reviewed and in my estimation was a very good show, and also the film, while I didn't prefer the film as much, was very hard hitting in its subject matter, that yeah, I would not be surprised if we get a second season of this. In some ways, a continuation might be what some would want, but I feel like it kind of, as we'll get into the whole TV series resolving itself, so to speak, sort of thing. But yeah, man, I don't know. I could see them going in a different direction with regards to this, and yeah, for that reason, I'm pretty much cool either way. So please tell me I turn this fucking mic on. Okay, thank the Lord. But yeah, back to the 2013 film and the lessened likability of these characters. Whereas in the television series, you definitely feel for Eric significantly more. That his character, he's this young guy who does force the issue with Claire, with his teacher, but you can tell she's definitely into it, which is one of the things where there is that parallel between both the series and the film. But he is a much more well-meaning kid who we get to see the aftermath of the situation, which in the film we do not. The film is actually very short. I want to say it's only around 70 minutes. And the Eric character in the film, he's a shithead, man, and he is borderline abusive. You can tell for him, it's not kind of a love puppy dog sort of thing like you really eventually get in the TV series. Like in the film, Eric, he's crappy, man. Yeah, and also Diana, our teacher, she's significantly more pathetic, I must say. Like she's obsessed with the kid, and it's also much more graphic in the sex department, I will give them that. And it made it much more off-putting, and gross, to be fair, and I believe that they did that deliberately. Hannah Fidel, that was her intention, was to make audiences more uncomfortable, and a lot of that was retconned, in my estimation, with this FX TV series, for better or for worse, depending on your impression of this particular story. But yeah, Diana the teacher, significantly more pathetic. Eric the student, just much more of a douche, just he's so stoked to be, getting down on the bang down with his teacher. And there's also a interesting role reversal between the two versions of it, because in the television series, Eric doesn't even drive, and Claire, his teacher, as she is called in the FX series, she is married, and she's very seemingly well-to-do, and it's a lot different in the TV series. In the film. Eric has a much nicer vehicle than her. He's driving them around most of the time, trying to kind of coerce her into giving him roadhead. It's most definitely, you can tell where the power is in the relationship in the film, and Eric is in control. So much so that he gets borderline abusive with her at one particular point when they're, spending this little weekend at a vacation property, and it's unsettling. It really, really is. And she, being our teacher, has a conflict of conscience, I guess, and just her, it starts to eat away at her near the end of the film. And she breaks it off with him, and then she's texting and begging him. And you can tell the obsessiveness is, dare I say, much more dangerous in the film in that regard, especially with how one-sided the relationship definitely is made out to be by the end of it. And yeah, Eric's dad finds out about what's going on. There's only a dad in the picture in the film version, in comparison with the TV series, where it's just a mom and siblings in the picture. So I can see how even the TV series is just a different teacher and a different student, despite the name Eric being used in both. It's a different situation, you know, it is a very different dynamic, and there is much more of a love and compassion, I mean, as misplaced as it may be, between the two. And also the fascinating aspect that the film really just follows our teacher. I think she's in pretty much every scene in the film, the Diana character, and yeah, like her interactions with her roommate and the obsessiveness. It also moves along at a very brisk pace, and the fact that it joins the relationship right at the beginning of the film when they're banging in the vehicle, as opposed to in the TV series. The TV series, despite being, I believe, only 8 episodes, and I mean, they're like less than 30 minutes each, but it's still, I felt like I cared so much more despite both characters' flaws, because of the fact that we got to see the build-up to the relationship starting. And that's not to say that I condone Claire's actions. Her husband is not painted out to be a bad character at all. This was just a weird, stir-crazy, you know, woman in Kate Mara's character, and there was like just that little seed of temptation planted by this overzealous senior in her AP English class, and it just went from there. It just rolled, and the fact that they don't even have sex until the end of the 3rd episode when she's chaperoning the dance. So there are certain plot parallels to both the TV series and the film, but I must admit, yeah, aside from that, the characters are so drastically different despite the fact that it's a male student and a older female teacher who's like the hot milfy teacher, whatever. These guys at a kegger in the film even mentioned, they're like, she's the teacher that all the guys like totally wanted to hook up with, blah blah blah, like their fantasy, yada yada yada. Anyway, so I think I've said my piece about the film at this particular point, and it's hard hitting, and yet it's brief and to the point, and I will definitely say far more catastrophic, I would say, in where we're at the end of the film, as as Eric's father has called the school, and he's just given the lowdown, and she's basically, she gets so obsessive and crazy that when she tries to get back with him and they're having sex, and she freaks out and she's like, this is wrong, and then he's like, well fine, peace out bitch, whatever, and he leaves, and then she runs after him and she has a change of heart immediately. You can tell that she's much more mentally unstable in the film. That's not to say Kate Mara's portrayal of the teacher doesn't have, you know, a slight sense of similarity, but the teacher's way more messed up in the film. And so that's where at the end you're just like, damn, her entire world is crashing down. And whereas you kind of feel with Kate's portrayal in the series that there might be a light at the end of the tunnel, some sort of eventual redemption and figuring herself out, it's pretty bleak, the end of the movie, man. And so shifting finally properly to the series, yeah, you actually see the build-up, and you see a strange sweetness to the relationship when it's in the midst of it, but you can't help but think, you're like, this kid is underage, even though he does. They also soften the blow in the fact that he turns 18 halfway through the series, and so yes, she did have sex with him, she's like in her 30s, and you know, he was 17. It's bad. It's bad, you know, but I guess it could be worse, you know, but still, she cheated on her husband, who the only annoying thing she'd done to him that they show in this is that he's wanting to form a band, and maybe she's lonely because he travels a lot for his work, but really, yeah, they do portray her as being kind of shitty, man, or pretty shitty, if I'm going to be fair about it. And so she loose lips sink ships. When she's tossing down some tequila at her husband's show, he's playing a concert with this new band of his and another teacher friend of hers. When she first starts at this new school where she meets Eric, she decides to drop the bomb, and it's even funny about the fact that her teacher friend is all like, who's the new guy, even though they're there seeing her husband's band play. Like, the teacher is not, like, the teacher friend doesn't seem to have any problem with Claire seemingly cheating on her husband. Crappy. Happy crappy, man. But then when Claire divulges that it's her student Eric, this friend of hers who was also at the school is like, wow, I have to report this. This is terrible. So, I mean, I don't know. So much for telling something in confidence and all that. And the fact that we get to see the aftermath and how it changes both of their lives so drastically. Like Eric, it flashes forward and he is at UT. He's at the University of Texas. He's a Longhorn. And that's something that we saw earlier in the series because Claire was a graduate there and she takes him to kind of tour the campus when they're still in their flirting, tutoring stages and whatnot. And yeah, so it flashes forward to him in his freshman year and he's a golden god. He's a legend because everybody knows because it made major press throughout the state and who knows how much nationally and definitely in his area that first off, Claire is a terrible person and, you know, is serving her time for this, but she has pleaded it down and she is going to get released, you know, shortly. And that he has these totally misplaced views of intimacy and relationships and stuff. He hooks up with this girl who apparently knows his past and what he did with this teacher, and she's saying things to him like, did she teach you this? Blah, blah, blah. Oh my God. And then so on and so forth. And then she has a change of heart. And then he freaks out because he's like, I came over wanting the fuck. And until the kid he's partying super hard, you know, mushrooms and crazy drinking and pot and all this other stuff. Not that in moderation those things can't be enjoyable and whatever, but he's just going overboard. You can tell he's very depressed. And it's like this relationship, to quote South Park, warped his fragile little mind. And it's the damn truth. And then in the next episode, in the final episode, we get her release and her facing the repercussions and the consequences. Not just the fact that her husband has presumably initiated the divorce. We know that the divorce is about to be finalized because we hear that from her cop brother who bailed out Eric early in the season when he was caught underage drinking. But and there was also Claire's father who wants to step in and help, who has a checkered past himself, but she's trying to get a job and somebody notices her in this department store and freaks out and is like, don't hire this person. It's like that sort of viewpoint that people can't, we all make mistakes, man. We are imperfect people. We're all infallible and, fallible people, derps fuego. But the fact that you see just, you know, it's a very different path of damage that both Claire and Eric in the TV series experience after the fact. And where do you finally allow somebody to try to redeem themselves and get their life back together? You really, you empathize and sympathize so much more with both characters in this. They're both much more developed, and you see both of their perspectives. And I mean, Claire made a big mistake, and she's obviously facing consequences, but I don't know. There was just, it was a much more complex sort of situation in the TV series, which is why I greatly preferred it. And I'm glad that halfway through, I didn't just jump off and go watch the film. I'm glad that I went through the television series, this revised, refined, and much more detailed version of this relationship, and you know, both the build up to it and you know, just all of the lingering after effects of it. This was a damn good series, and despite the controversial subject matter, I highly recommend it. This was a certified fuego. This, for me, the TV series was 4 out of 5, definitely certified fuego. The film, if I'm gonna give a final view to that, I would still say 3 out of 5. You know, maybe more like 3.5, but I don't do half scores of any sort on this. And so, yeah, that one is bueno, though. The film, A Teacher from 2013, which I watched for free because I'm an Amazon Prime person, it's definitely bueno, 3 out of 5. But the TV series on FX via Hulu, it's an improvement, and it explores these ideas in a much deeper and far more fascinating fashion. So that one is 4 out of 5 certified fuego. So yeah, I've been Jaime En Fuego. You can find them all on all social media sectors, Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, here on YouTube. Here in the last week or so, I have been detailing all kinds of new and old Crimbus holiday, Festivus, whatever you celebrate. I've been reviewing all kinds of stuff, from Fat Man and Happiest Seasons to older stuff like Mixed Nuts and, The Ref, Trapped in Paradise, blah, blah, blah. So check any of that out if you feel inclined. If you like spectacular stuff, go over to my main YouTube channel, youtube.com/The Horror Show channel, and that's where we are just about to wrap up Christmas Time in Hell. Yeah, for whatever reason, Cecil wanted to do all of the Hellraiser stuff in December. Hey, whatever. It's cool. It was a lot of fun checking out all of the films and the books and the comic books and yes, comprehensive Hellraiser coverage. Shout out to Barker at the Moon and more coverage of Clive that I intend to do here in 2021. But that's the end of the proceedings today, everybody. I extend a grande gracias once more, and until the reel of Ka, I should specify, comes around once more, hasta luego, Cinemigos, constant viewers and readers alike, regardless of where you are at. Say thank you for a bit of palaver and time with me today, and I hope we share more of it sooner rather than later. And until then, stay home and watch more streaming stuff. If you can stomach it, man, a teacher is, boy, it hits hard, for sure.